Hello there.
Hi.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Tori.
And we are
100 Bakerwood.
100 Bakerwood. And today we're going to show you how to make vanilla cupcakes.
Ooh.
And these are...
Dairy-free, soya-free and nut-free.
Exactly. Right, let's go. So Tori, what is the first thing we need to do?
So the first thing you need to do is you need to get all your ingredients. Now, I don't use loads of fancy ingredients. Flour, sugar, salt, baking powder. All of this is just, and your eggs, just from any local supermarket. In terms of obviously the dairy-free alternatives, we do use Flora Plant. I will say we have used a lot of dairy-free alternatives and this just seems to be the one that works the best. It is quite expensive, but in comparison to normal butter, it's not that different in price, but it does work well.
Tesco's quite often has a lot of deals on the
Sainsbury's.
Butter. And Sainsbury's.
In terms of the milk alternative, we use Oatly whole milk. The reason we use Oatly is that there are a lot of oat milks out there that do say may contain nuts. So Oatly obviously is quite good in the sense that it doesn't have that label on it. So unfortunately a lot of the own brands do seem to have that may contain nuts. And obviously with an anaphylactic child, we can't take that risk. So like I say, apart from that, all other plain fine ingredients. The only thing I will say is do not skimp on your vanilla. Own brand vanilla essences are fine, but Nielsen Massey is perfect. It's a must. It's an expensive brand, but it's worth every penny. So the first thing you want to do is you want to put your oven on. I put it on roughly, between 170 and 180. Our oven runs quite hot, so that's about the sort of right temperature that you want. Get your cupcake cases in, ready for your mix. And then you can start getting your mix together.
So this recipe is going to make, I assume, 12?
Roughly 12. You might have a bit of extra mix on your hands, and if you do, obviously, if you've got extra cake tins and things like that, you can do that. Or you can obviously save it for another time. So then I will get the mixer. I'm very fortunate that I've obviously got my KitchenAid mixer. But again, you can use a freestanding, bowl, spoon, fork, anything like that. Whatever.
Well, this is quite a new addition, isn't it,
yes,
to the household, the KitchenAid mixer. Before that, you was using something from the 70s.
100%. It was a cream and brown little number.
But it still worked.
But
it will still do the job.
I was going to say, it 100% did the trick. So any mixer, it doesn't have to be the all singing, all dancing. The only reason I got this is because it was a 40th present from my lovely husband. And yeah, it just makes my life easier. But any cake mixer that you've got. So place your bowl on the scales, turn it on, and make sure you set it to 0. So then it's not taking into account the weight of the bowl. So then you measure out your first ingredient. So the first ingredient you're going to need is butter. So you're going to take your butter, and you are going to measure out 80 grams.
Now obviously we're doing dairy free. If you was making one that was not dairy free, you will be using just regular butter. So I dare say the portion sizes won't be any different.
No, the portion sizes don't change just because it's a free-from alternative. You literally, in this instance, just swap like for like. So we're at 70. Let's see, how much does that give me? 82. So we're just going to take a little spoon away. 80. Perfect.
So far we've got the butter in the mixer, and the weight was again, sorry?
80 grams.
80 grams of butter, and next step.
Now we're going to be going onto the caster sugar. So again, just press, your scales might be different to mine, but with mine I just press on 0 and that will taper off the 80 grams of the butter. So it takes it back to 0 so that when you measure your sugar, you don't have to do it in a separate bowl. Just saves on your washing up. So then you measure out 280.
280 grams.
Yep. Of just normal caster sugar. A little bit more. And again, it's going a little bit too much there, so I just normally take one of my little spoons.
Show me these spoons. They've all got measurements on them.
Yeah, these are my measurement spoons. So I've got a 1/4 teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon, a teaspoon, 1/2 tablespoon and a tablespoon. It's just always really handy to have a set like this rather than trying to faff with actual teaspoons. At least then you know you've got your exact measurements, because really making cakes is science and it is all about having the right level of the ingredients. So obviously I've got 9 grams over, so I'm just going to take a little bit of that out, make it back to the 280.
And that caster sugar is not all buttery, no?
Yeah, but it will be. You want to mix the ingredients together. So the whole
No, I meant the bits that you're taking out.
Oh, no. So no, I'm just scooping around the outside. So no butter went back in the bag. So now that you've got your butter and the sugar, you're now going to, this is kind of an all-in-one method. So you're just going to put all your dry ingredients in. So the next one is going to be your flour, which is 240. So again, repeat, press the 0. And then measure out your 240.
Plain, not self-raising?
No, plain. And then you add in your baking powder, and that acts as the raising agent. So, a little bit more. Again, it's gone over just a little bit, but because you've got such a large amount, you're able to scoop it out without getting the extra ingredients. Also, if you just go to the outside of the bowl, you're also less likely, like this. So when you're scooping out, if you scoop up that way, you're less likely to get any of the ingredients. So that's then taking me back to 240. So that's perfect.
So our max on the scales at the moment with all 3 ingredients in is 240?
No, that's just the flour.
That's just the flour, okay. So so you zeroed after?
You zero after every ingredient.
Right, okay.
So you've measured out 80 grams of butter, 280 grams of caster sugar, and then 240 grams of flour.
Right, okay. I hope you're paying attention. Okay, go on.
This is why I make the cakes.
Yeah, I'm going to learn. That's the point of these videos.
Yes. Then you're going to add in your baking powder. So you're going to have a tablespoon. So this is where obviously your measuring spoons will come in handy. You can tear it off to 0, but you don't have to because you're using your measuring spoon. So again, you're going to get a nice big spoonful and just shake it till it's level.
Sorry, I need to see that.
That's
level,
fine.
Okay.
And then pour that in. And then the last dry ingredient that you're going to do is 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Again, just any bog standard table salt is absolutely fine. Again, your little measuring spoon. You don't have to use salt. If you are using salted butter, some people prefer to do it without. It doesn't make much difference. It's just obviously personal preference. I just tend to put the salt in. There we go. In it goes. And that is all your dry ingredients ready to go. So that just goes on the mixer.
Is this where it's going to get noisy?
This is where it's going to get noisy.
Okay.
So you just put your mixer down, and the idea is you want your mixture to resemble sort of fine breadcrumbs or like sand. So you're just going to turn it on. So I've just turned that on twice. You don't want it on too fast, you just want it on enough to just give you an even mix. Again, if you are doing this by hand, it is possible, it will just take a little bit longer because you'll have to use a fork or a spoon to help you kind of break up that butter and mix that mix together. Again, if you've got a handheld mixer, same thing kind of applies. You just put all the dry ingredients in and mix it all together.
So how long will it take to do this part?
Literally 30 seconds, minute max, and then it's done. And then you're going to measure out your wet ingredients, and we're going to mix the two together. It's such a simple recipe. See, it's done already. So what I'll do is I'll lift that up. You can have a little look.
So what's the consistency we're looking for?
So it's roughly sort of like breadcrumbs, that kind of consistency you're looking for, or like a sandy texture. That's the ideal consistency you're going for. You can keep going for a little bit longer, but you are going to keep mixing that anyway. I'm just going to give it one more zhuzh. And then we'll get our wet ingredients ready to go. Yeah, that's it. All done.
So, sorry, what number was it you had that on?
So I had that on number 2. You can obviously go up quite far, but realistically it only needs to be on a fairly low mix. So obviously that's just to gently break up the ingredients and mix them all together. And now that obviously that mix is all together, now you can go into your wet ingredients. So just a bog standard jug. You can use obviously one if it's got measurements on it. I just prefer to do it all on the scales as well. So again, I'll put that on there, turn it on, and it will make it to 0. But obviously mine is on grams. So I'm going to press the unit 3 times till I get to millilitres, because the first thing I'm going to measure out is my milk. Now again, we're using Oatly whole milk here. They do lots of different Oatlys. We've just always used the whole oat drink. I have tried the barista before for drinking, but I haven't tried it in cooking. So I would always recommend just using this. Obviously the original recipe asked for whole milk, like cow's milk, so that's why I would go for a whole milk recipe like this. So it'd be 240 mils. A little bit more.
Doesn't necessarily have to be cold, does it? I mean, it may sound like a silly thing to say, but...
No, it doesn't actually matter, because realistically you're going to be putting it in a hot oven, so it doesn't matter if it's hot or cold. Some recipes do call for you to have hot milk or cold milk specifically, but this recipe doesn't, so that's fine. So you've got your milk. Now we're going to go on and get 2 eggs. You're going to crack your 2 eggs into your milk and just mix it together with your vanilla essence before you then put it into the dry ingredients. So you're going to crack your eggs. I do apologise, this jug is not the best. Crack your eggs, trying not to get any shell in. And get as much of that out as you can. There's the other egg. Crack the egg in. And then get your fork and just a gentle mix.
So why are you hand mixing this bit?
Why?
Yeah, why?
Because obviously you're mixing the milk and the egg together before you mix it in with the dry ingredients. It's just it helps the binding of it, really.
Yeah.
So you're just mixing the eggs into the milk, and as well you're trying to get air into it, because obviously that's going to help with the rising of the cake as well.
So the reason I keep asking all the silly questions is because I really don't know how to bake cakes at all. Been lucky that Tori has always known somehow how to bake cakes, and always has my birthdays, Christmases, whatever, she's making the cakes. And then our son came along and we found out he has many allergies: dairy, soya and nuts. We'll go into more details about all of that later if you're interested. But yeah, so I'm hoping that these tutorials are going to teach me how to bake cakes, so I can be baking cakes for Tori, for our son, and for myself, okay?
So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add in some vanilla essence. So you just need, again, one of your little measuring spoons, half a teaspoon of vanilla essence into your eggs and your milk. If it goes a little bit over, it's not the end of the world, because the vanilla essence is just going to give you that nice flavour. Like I've said before at the beginning of the video, this vanilla essence will make your cakes. So even if you have to get value flour, value sugar, all of that, that is what is going to help you. Again, you just give it a little stir, little mix together, get a few bubbles going in there, and then you're ready to mix the 2 ingredients together. A very slow one again, and number 2. We might even go with 1 actually, just while we're doing this first lot. And if you look at how much you've got in your jug, you've got roughly around 300 millilitres. So you're going to put in about 200 mils and get most of that mixture joined together. So we're going to slowly pour that in. It doesn't have to be exact. Just keep going little at a time till you feel you've done roughly about 2/3, so about 200 in there. Now you can see that the mix is kind of coming together, and now it's not such wet and dry and you're not going to get splatter. You can turn it up just to number 2, just to get a better of an even mix.
What's the consistency we're going for?
So you really want it just a spoonable consistency. At the moment it's quite a thick consistency, but we've still got quite a lot of liquid to go. So now that that is fully incorporated and you can see that there are no dry bits in the bowl, obviously if you are unsure, just turn your mixer off, get your spatula, give it a little scoop around just to make sure that everything's incorporated properly. And then we're going to go for the rest of the mix very slowly, because you don't want splatter. And you will see slowly as the liquid begins to mix in that that consistency is changing to a much more fluid consistency and not so thick.
Alright.
So I'm just going to turn it up one more.
So we're on to 4 now, are we?
Yeah. Again, your numbers on your mixer might be different. It's all down to everyone's different mixer and everyone's different personal preferences. I like to give it a last little boost just before I put it in the oven, just to again incorporate that extra bit of air in it to give them that nice fluffy feel. So again, I'm going to turn that off now so you can have a little look at the consistency that we have here. So it's literally just dripping off.
So it is dripping?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a milkshake?
Yeah, that's the kind of consistency that you want. You don't want it as a thick mix. You want a thin mix because then it's going to give you that nice airy consistency.
For a fluffy cake?
For a fluffy cake.
Thank you.
So now you've made your mix, you just scoop off as much of the excess from that mixer that you possibly can. Obviously you don't want to waste any of the ingredients, but also it just means that obviously you're not going to get that drip when you take the bowl off of the mixer.
So we're avoiding mess?
Yeah.
That's it?
We're avoiding mess, and obviously we don't want to waste any of the mix, you know. Waste not, want not. You still are going to get some drips, but it is what it is. So now I just normally use 2 spoons. I've got a spatula as well to scoop off any excess. This doesn't have to be precise, it doesn't have to be clean.
No, there's no measuring involved in this bit, it's just all eye.
This is just literally scooping some of your mix into your cake cases. So I use roughly about 2 spoons per, but I'll always go around and do 1 spoon of each, and I scrape on the side of the bowl and then pour it in. Sometimes I'll use that 2nd spoon to scrape off the excess, but that's normally when we get towards the end. So again, just scrape off, spoon it in. Some people I've seen use an ice cream scoop. I don't have an ice cream scoop. It's something that I have thought about because then you get that even measurement, because a lot of people say you should measure out exactly the same in each cupcake to get that even bake. I've never done that. My cupcakes aren't about being precise, maybe they should be. Mine are just about tasting good.
Right, so now all 12 have had their first tablespoonful. Now the 2nd tablespoon is going in each.
Yeah.
And what was it, so you just said?
I think looking at the mix, I'm definitely going to need another cupcake tray. Again, obviously, I could go round and continue to fill these. You tend to want to fill them about between 1/2 and 3/4 full. It depends on the size of cake you're really going for. But obviously, if you overfill them too much, the risk is that you will then have crispy hard tops and not potentially all cooked all the way through. So you kind of want them to be an even size.
So you said it in fractions, which I don't do. What was that in percentages? How full? 75%?
Between 1/2 and 75%. Yeah.
Okay. I know.
So basically, you just kind of want to judge it. But I would personally look at it and go, right, okay, because you're going to get a rise on it, these can have a little bit more, because I wouldn't say they're half full yet. But I've been round twice now, So even if I go around again, I'm still going to have some mix left over, which means I think even if you just get another 2, or if you've got mini cupcake holders, you could use that as well and just adjust your time. So I've done that before. 12 to 15 minutes, depending on how hot your oven is, at about 170, 180. But obviously if you are doing smaller cupcakes, then you would just halve that time. And again, just do less is more. So if you want to set your timer for 6 minutes, check them, see how they go, and then obviously if they need more, they need more. But you can always add more time, you can't take time away, and you don't want to risk ruining your cakes.
Oh, very deep. I like that.
And in terms of checking your cakes, a really good test is to literally use your finger once you take them out of the oven and just press very gently on the cake, and if it bounces back, it's cooked, and if it doesn't bounce back, obviously it's not cooked. But I always use this as well.
Oh, there's a teeny tiny cake tester there. Okay, I can see it.
Okay, now I did originally just used to use a special long spoon handle that I had, but I actually saw this on a certain cheap website. Yeah, that one. And I will say it's brilliant because it's just the perfect size, because you don't want to make a massive hole in your cake because then you risk losing load of the air and it deflating. So obviously having that kind of thing just to test. And obviously if it comes back clean, your cake's cooked, and if it comes back with goo on it, then it needs another couple of minutes.
So these are going to go in the oven soon, and they're going to take, sorry, how long?
I'd say between 12 and 15 minutes. We'll start off with 12 and then I'll check them, and then we'll kind of go from there. If I need to add on a bit of extra time, I'll add on some extra time. If not, we'll take them out and see how they are.
More mixture left
As
over.
you can see, there's still quite a bit left. So, like I say, I've gone and got my extra tin, and I'm just going to go through the same process as I did with the previous tray.
So I go around once, 1 tablespoon.
Yeah, and then add in as you go. Okay, so now they're ready to go in the oven. So we're just going to put the oven on. The oven's been on for roughly about 5 to 10 minutes. It's purely dependent on your oven as to how long you think it needs to heat up, but give it a little time to heat up, and then just put your cupcakes in, shut the door, and set your timer.
12 minutes, starting now.
Apologies if that's just set off your echo. After 12 minutes, take them out, use your whatever you've got to test. Like I say, you can use this. I used to use literally the thin end of a tiny little spoon, or you might already have something similar to this, cocktail stick. You basically just want it to come out clean. If it comes out clean, it's cooked. If it's not, and there's still a bit of cake mix on it, you just put it back in the oven, add on a couple of minutes. So we'll see you in a bit.
Everyone, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Echo, stop the timer. So that is the 12 minutes. So we're going to take them out and have a little look. Hello!
There he is, right on time.
So, careful, oven's on, out the way, good boy. Let's have a look. Let's pull them out and just have a little look. Sometimes you'll be able to look and see, and if you'll see if there's mixture, you'll know if they're done or not. So looking at these, I'm going to test them, but I think that they look still a little bit gooey here. So they may well need a little bit longer. So let's have a look. Yeah, can you see? There's still cake mix there. So they are going to need longer, but they are starting to go brown. So that's what I mean. Our oven is quite hot, so just obviously oven dependent. So what I might do is I might put them lower, and I'll get the other ones out. Yeah, again, you can see I don't need to test those. You can see, although they are starting to brown, they still are a little bit gooey in the middle. So again, to get a more even cook, I will turn them round, and I'll put them a little bit higher, and I'll put those ones just down a little bit lower there. I'm just going to add them in for maybe 2 more minutes and just check. Doesn't seem like long, but actually it's just enough because they're nearly done. So let's have a look. That looks like a slightly more even bake now. So let's pull that out and have a look. Yep, you can see it's just come out clean then. And again, just to show you the pushing test, just bounces a little bit. Can you see it bounces back? And again, they should all be cooked, but we'll just pick another one at random. Yep, all cooked, come out clean. So once you know they've come out clean, leave them in the tray. Don't take them out of the tray until they're cooled. If you do have cooling racks, you can put them on a cooling rack. So what I would do is I would just literally set them back to the back of the oven and let them cool down. And once they're completely cool, then you can get them ready to decorate. I will be using a vanilla buttercream, which I will show you in a little while. Okay, so here's a selection of the final cakes. Obviously, normally I would put the butter icing on these, as I stated previously, but this video is just to show you how to do the basic vanilla sponge. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take one of these out of the wrapper and show you the finished product. So as you can see, they peel off quite easy. You're always going to get a little bit of cake. They are still a little bit warm, so they would have less cake come off if obviously it was completely cool. Obviously you can as well use silicone cupcakes, case holders, and then just rewash them. And then this is the inside of the cake.
Very spongy. So
that is very bouncy cake. Very soft, light, fluffy. And I will say, this recipe I've always found lasts pretty well in a sealed tin.
Cake tin?
Cake tin, yeah, for at least 5 to 6 days, to be honest. Sometimes a week.
They never last that long though.
No, I was going to say they're gone. They're gone before that, but they are long lasting. You can freeze them and then obviously decorate them afterwards. Obviously make sure again they're in a completely sealed packet so that they don't get freezer burn, and then just defrost before you put your decorations on. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was helpful for you. Obviously any comments and suggestions are always very much appreciated. Any recipes you'd like to see, obviously like and subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you in the next video when we make the butter icing and decorate them. Thank you, bye!